we will fight for the compensation you deserve.
Wettermark Keith, the name you know and trust.
Go red for Chattanooga and celebrate Heart Month.
You know, I think personally anyway, one of the hardest parts of this past year with COVID has been for those who have lost loved ones along the way. And the grieving process, which is always difficult, has been made probably a lot more difficult by the sense that with COVID you can't get together and have sometimes a proper funeral the way you would like, or even have family come in from out of town. I would think that would add to the grieving even more. Susan Latta, chances are, has been seeing this firsthand. She's with Hospice of Chattanooga. If ever there was anyone gifted for the job she has, Susan, it's you. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Am I right? I mean, have you seen layer upon layer of grieving this past year because of the restrictions when you lose someone?
Very much so. And it could be considered complicated grief because people do not have the rituals that they're used to having to be able to say goodbye to whomever it has been that has died. Mm-hmm. A lot of delayed grief because it's like, okay, we want to do a celebration of life, but we don't want to do it with COVID. And so there are people that are feeling very kind of in the midst of this whole piece of, what do I do with the fact that mom has died and I haven't buried her, or I haven't spread her ashes, or I haven't had her memorial service, and yet she's been gone for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And so there's just a lot of confusion. I don't know confusion, but a lot of different feelings because of COVID and the restrictions.
So one of the things that you've long had at hospice that's been so beneficial to anyone who's chosen to take advantage of it is support groups.
Correct.
Do you find this to be a topic of conversation now frequently among those people who are there with your support groups?
I would say yes, that a lot of the people, we just finished a 6-week group on Tuesday night, and they did talk about the fact that they could not have a celebration of life or a memorial service or a funeral the way that they wanted. In fact, one woman said, oh, my mom would be so angry that she did not get the send-off that she thought that she would have. And she said, I know she's not alive, but that's what I feel like I need to do as a daughter, is to give her that send off. And so there's all this kind of like waiting to have those rituals completed, and almost in that sense, again, that delayed grief of, okay, now I can start to grieve because I've just been on hold.
Well, and I'm thinking as I go here, but you and I have had lots of conversations over the years, and one of the things that you've always stressed, very often you're here talking about the grief camps that you have, that it doesn't really matter when you've lost the person you love. The grief can surface and resurface at different stages. So for
Correct.
people to remember that hospice is there, you may have lost someone this year, and 3 years from now, you might be struggling. You're still
Correct. Yeah. I got a call last week from someone that her spouse had died 5 years ago, and she just said, I feel like now I can talk about it. It's so individual, and it is a journey that when a person dies, you are on that journey for the rest of your life around that person's death, in my opinion. I don't think that closure is something that happens.
I mentioned that you are certainly gifted for the work that you do, and it's pretty easy, I think, for folks to watch you this morning and think, wow, she's so calm and consoling. But for people who might have family in North Carolina and they're going through the loss of someone, maybe it's an anticipated loss, you know it's coming, but you can't get there because of COVID. Do you have any words to share, what we can do to be supporting people right now?
So let's use that example. You have, a family member in North Carolina and you can't get there for whatever reason. One of the greatest things that's come from this whole COVID thing is Zooming, and being able to connect that way, or being able to connect in ways through FaceTime or through just text if the person doesn't want to be seen, or phone calls. And so I would encourage people to continue doing that, even if they are miles and miles away, and to try to stay connected that way. Also, if you are in North Carolina or in service areas where you want to join a support group, you can contact your local hospice. All of our support groups right now are virtual. And so we have people that have joined us from, we have a suicide support group because suicides have increased 33% with the pandemic. And so we realized that we needed to reach out to that community of people that have had the unspeakable reality of someone in their life suiciding. And so we had a woman from St. Louis that found us online and joined the suicide support group because her husband had suicided and she couldn't find anything locally in her area. And so that's one of the gifts of the Zooming, and that like I said, all of our groups are Zoom, and it doesn't matter where you live, you can still participate.
It is always, always a pleasure to talk with you, Susan. Thank you for sharing some time this morning.
Thank you, Julie. Have a great day.
You too. Here's the information that you can use for yourself or share. It's hospiceofchattanooga.org. Remember that website. You can find out about the support groups that you might benefit from or someone you know and love, no matter where they are. We're back after this.
Recent injury keeping you from getting out?